This week's Torah portion is called Parshat Mishpatim. And it comes after last week's Torah portion where we read about the Jewish people arriving at Mount Sinai, having escaped and come out, God bringing them out from Egypt through the Red Sea. They came to Mount Sinai, they prepared for 3 days, and then God descended on the mountain and they had a revelation of God. They were like one heart, they were people connected as one soul, one heart, and they received the first 2 of the 10 commandments. It was too powerful of an experience for them to continue to hear the rest of the commandments, and they give Moses the job to receive the whole Torah and bring it down and teach it to them. That's what we read about last week. This week we read this parsha called Mishpatim, and in it there are 52 mitzvot. There are 52 ways given to us out of the 613 mitzvahs that are all together. There are 52 of them are delineated in this week's Torah portion. Mitzvot, ways in which we as a people, as an entity of body and soul, can connect to the divine. The world has laws of nature. We know most of them, we know about them, we can research them, we can know about the laws of nature, we can learn about gravity, we can learn about all the different laws that there are that govern our natural world. And there are also laws of spiritual energy, the way in which the spiritual world works. And we learn about them through studying the Torah. In the word Torah, the middle of it is aura, is light. And there's light packed into all of the mitzvahs that we do. All of the ways a mitzvah, the word mitzvot means to connect. These are ways in which we can connect ourselves to God. Our teachers classify all of the mitzvot into 3 different categories. One category is Mishpatim, which we read about again in this week's Torah portion, some of them. And these are laws that we might come up with on our own. How do we treat each other? How do we treat somebody who steals something? How do we deal with somebody who oppresses somebody? How do we deal with people who hurt people? How do we live within a society where we interact with each other and there are injustices? How do we work that system? Those are the laws called Mishpatim, and they were ones that we would come up with on our own, perhaps. The second category of mitzvot that there are called testimonies. There's laws, there's ways in which we engage in the world that testify to something. Every week we celebrate the Shabbat to testify that God created the world and rested on the 7th day. So too, we, by resting on the 7th day, testify that God created the world and rested on the 7th day. We celebrate Passover every year to testify that God brought the Jewish people out from Egypt, brought them out from slavery, brought them to Sinai, and gave us the 10 commandments, gave us the Torah. That we celebrate by celebrating Passover a year. That's a law that is a testimony law, laws of testimony. Finally, there are laws that are known as chukim. Ones we have no idea. We don't know why we do them, but we do them because we understand that there's a wisdom in the Torah that is God-given, and this is how we access the spiritual world, even if we wouldn't come up with it on our own, and even if we don't understand why we do them. So these might be the laws like the laws of kosher or the laws of the mikveh, are laws that we don't really understand, but we do them because we understand that God has written into the fabric of the world spiritual pathways to bring that energy and that holiness and that godliness out into the world. We at Mount Sinai said to God, Na'aseh v'nishma, which means we'll do it and then we'll learn about it. And maybe we'll understand it, but maybe we won't. And maybe we'll have a greater understanding of what we're doing, and maybe we won't. But we're going to do it, because doing is connecting. And a mitzvah is a connector. So in this week's Torah portion, we're given a whole lot of ways to bring the spiritual out into the world, to bring the light out. And we get to partner with God to do that. I'm going to give an example, a personal example. I work on the Chevra Kedisha, and I take care of women after they die. Women take care of women, and men take care of men. So it's much more respectful and dignified. So you go to the morgue, and there's a dead body, and we know the soul is hovering over the body, and we come and we wash the body, and we clothe the body, and we put the body through a mikveh-like experience, and we declare the woman that we take care of, we declare her pure, we declare her holy. But we don't make her holy, we just participate in our tradition, in our custom of what we're doing, what we're told to do, how we're told to do it. And through doing that, and by us declaring her pure and ready for burial, God will do the rest. So there's a partnership. By doing something, God can attach that and bring the blessing to this dead, to this passage of this soul into the next world. We're washing the body, we're cleansing the body. At the same time, we're washing and cleansing the soul. We are doing the physical act, and God is making it happen. And so many ways that's an analogy for what we're doing in our lives. When we bless somebody, we say you should have only good things happen in your life. You should only have spiritual things happen in your life. You should be successful in all your endeavors. We bless each other, but really it's God that's going to bring that about. But we are participating. We're partners with God. Another thing that happens in this week's Torah portion, after we learn about many, many of the laws, we then go back to the narrative of Moses going back up into the heavens. He goes through the clouds. He's searching for God. He wants to have a relationship to God. He wants to get close to God, receive the Torah to bring it back down and teach it to the people. Up in the heavens, we learn in the Torah portion, there is a heavenly throne. And obviously it's not physical. God has no physical form. It's all using anthropomorphic terms. But under the heavenly throne, whatever that means, is a bright sapphire brick. And we understand, say our teachers, that the brick is representative of the bricks that the Jewish people made when they were in Egypt, when they were making the bricks for the pyramids for Pharaoh. They were enslaved. They were making these bricks. The sapphire brick under the heavenly throne in the heavens represents for us an understanding that God is with us in all of our endeavors. When we're oppressed, God's with us. When we're joyous, God's with us. God is with us all the time. And this brick is a way for us to understand that God is always with us, that God is always with us. So Moses goes up into the heavens to have a relationship with God. So too we in this world are searching and looking through the clouds to find the light, to have that relationship to God, to connect to God. And through that connection and through that relationship, to continue to shine light out into the world. When we feed each other, when we are hospitable to each other, when we are kind to each other, when we are empathetic to each other, when we take care of the marginalized, when we take care of the orphan and the widow and the immigrant, when we take care of people who no one else is taking care of, when we take care of them, when we bring them in and we elevate them so they're not crying to God for help because we're here to help them. We help them. They can cry to God also, but that we are here to be partners with God to help those people, the widows and the orphans and perhaps the immigrants and the people who are marginalized. We bring them in. We're doing God's work. We're partners with God to feed the hungry and clothe the naked and to bring godliness. When we visit the sick, when we welcome guests into our house, when we escort guests out of our house, when we take care of the dead, when we are besimcha, when we are joyous for the bride and groom, all of these things are bringing holiness and bringing light into the world. And that's what we are here to do. And we're given our spiritual guidebook, which is the Torah. And how do we know what's in it? We have to learn. We have to keep learning. We have to keep learning. We have to keep growing. We have to keep yearning. We have to keep wanting to know more and to have more and more spiritual connection and know that we mess up sometimes, but we're going to keep trying, and that each one of us has our own individual paths for finding the way to bring out the light that we are here to bring out. And together we'll be able to do it all. So when the people stood at Mount Sinai and they said, yes, we will do it, and then we'll try to understand it, that at Mount Sinai we were one. We had one heart and we had one soul. Now we feel like we're very fractured, and part of our work is to bring us together as one people and recognize that I have my job to do and you have your job to do, and together we can make it all happen, and we can bring that unity that we had when we were at Mount Sinai, when it says in the Gemara that there were 600,000 angels descended from the heavens. When the Jewish people said, we'll do it, and then we'll learn about it, 600,000 angels came down and put on our heads 2 crowns, one for we will do it, and one for we will try to understand it. We got 2 crowns. And we should, please God, get to a place where we get those crowns back on our heads, where we're searching for God, that we're using the Torah as a guidebook to help us know how to work in the spiritual world, to bring out the light that's hidden in the mundane, that we can do it by how we talk to each other, how we are with each other, how we respect each other, and we're compassionate to each other, and we love each other, and we respect each other, and we don't harm each other, and we're good to each other. When we do that, we're bringing spirituality and holiness into the world, and that is why we're here.